Okay, today is still Tuesday, 11:17 p.m. It's April 15th. All right, so now what I plan to do is identify the trades that I will take, I most commonly take, okay? Now it's going to, and I'm going to start identifying it as they are, all right? And then I'm going to take each of those and then start analyzing it in more detail so that it allows me to uh, make the best of those setups when I take those setups. So now I consider this area a range bound situation here, range bound area right here, right? So I would see this and I would think, okay, so this is a range bound area, but so I'm looking at the gold here. So when I look at this, usually when it's hovering around here and it's dropping like that, it is essentially telling me that it wants to go down. So it attempted to drop. Okay, there must have been a lot of people here who wanted to sell here when it got here. Okay, they know that when it breaks out, it's going to drop, and so it looks like there was a lot of selling that went on, and immediately bought back up. Okay, because to soak up all this liquidity here, right? Essentially, that's what it is. So this is support. So I'm looking at the support right there. That's the support area right there. Okay, and then uh, I would say that this is going to be this is the resistance area. So right here. Okay. So if I look at it, it's going sideways. This would be support. And so when it hits this, I would say that when I see something here, okay, that is indicating that it's attempting to move in the upper direction, then I can get in, okay, near the area where the support is, okay, near the area where the support is here, and then engage in taking profits. And so what I would do is I would be cautious when it's here. I would be cautious here when it's here, and then here and here and here. And so when it goes sideways, I would think it's possible for me to keep holding on to it, but that's the way that I would trade. So it is possible that I would get out of the trade here. Okay, I would get out of this trade, expecting that this could happen and erase all the gains that I have. So I would get out of this trade somewhere here. So the first trade, okay, so the first trade would be bounce off of the support. Okay, bounce off the support. Okay, this is very, very important. This is very, very common. This is a very, very common trade that I take. Okay, so let me see here. Lines, channels, shapes, ellipse. So, and so I take that, center it right there, okay? Now I'm expecting to take the trade at this right in the center area right there. Okay, that's the way that I'm going to do. This is going to be one trade that I can take. So I can take another trade here as well, right? Here, I would look at it, I would have taken the trade, and my stop loss would have been here. I would have taken that trade and made profit here and gotten out here. So that would have been another trade that I could have taken. Okay, so this would be the trades that I would take. So this is number one, all right? So I will only make trades in the area where the support and resistance is. Okay, from this, it's essentially that's what it is, right? It's essentially that's how it turns out. This is a very, very dangerous situation here. Okay, so if I look here, now this is USD, Euro USD. So when it's making a fresh high, I get in, boom, I get slapped down like crazy. And this is what I could lose. So what I have to do is when it starts here, gets here, and when it breaks out, I know that. So that's the way that I'm going to trade from now on. Make sense? Makes sense. Pardon me. Okay, so that's how it works. Okay, so now this is the most common type of trade that I make. Okay, this is the, maybe I should turn this into green. Let's make that a green one. Right there, that's a good color. Okay, right there. Okay, so fluorescent green. So this is what I'm gonna do. Okay, this is the type of trade that I will be taking. Okay, so that's so is that right? That's the most common type of trading that I take, right? Okay, if I don't know that, that is a big problem. Okay, that's a range bound situation, right? That's a range bound situation. That's a range bound type of a trade that I need to take. If I don't know this, that means that I am not familiar with this type of trade. And so what that means is when I take that trade, this point here, I would have to size it so that when it drops out, then my loss is small compared to the gain that I have, right? So I would take it here, the loss is going to be here, and I would have to say, okay, so I want to make 20 bucks, and that means when I get in here, it would move up here, possibly to make 20 bucks, a little bit more than 20 bucks, right? So approximately like a 1-to-1 ratio is essentially. But the earlier I get into this trade at this point is going to allow me to make the best make the make the best benefit out of it, right? Okay. So I would say that the first most common type of trade that I take is uh, essentially bounce. Should I call it a bounce off support? Bounce off of support? Off of off of support. So it's called booze. So I call it a booze. Bounce off of support. So I'll call it a booze. Okay, it's a booze. It's a booze trade. So that would be the first type of trade that I would document. Okay, so that's one. Okay, so I'm going to document this. So say picture as. Say picture as. We'll call it booze. Okay, for bounce off of support. Okay. All right. Now I have that established. Now what I'm going to do is create something called BOOR. All right, that'll work. Now I'm going to create something called a BOOR. BOOR. Okay, so what is a BOOR? BOOR is essentially bounce off. Actually, what do I call it? It's not a bounce. So we'll call it something. Okay, so we'll call it uh, when you play the game Pong, the ball ricochets off. Uh, well, it's still a bounce. It is a bounce, but so what would I call it? It's going to be so that's actually a bounce off the support. Now this is different. This is different. Why is it different? Okay, so I'm looking at this. Now it's going to be a little bit different here. I'm looking at it. It's a little bit different here, right? It's a little different because when I look at it, it has established. It really isn't a bounce. Maybe it is a bounce here. Maybe that's where the support is, right? Resistance is. But essentially what it did was it went up, traded a little bit, bounced up, and then traded a little bit, and then started to come back down. So this would be called, a breakthrough support. Breakthrough support. Okay? Breakthrough support, BTS. It's a BTS trade. Breakthrough support. Okay? This is called a breakthrough support trade, right? So this will be the second type of trade that is very, very common. All right. Essentially, even here, this is support right there. Breakthrough support right there. Breakthrough resistance here. That's breakthrough resistance right there. Breakthrough resistance, right? So there's two types of trades that I could take. Okay, so let's document this one first, right here. We'll put this here. All right. So this one we'll call it. So what are the prerequisites? So the prerequisite is it's really not a bounce. So what it essentially is doing is trading right along, and then a support and resistance is established, and then this candle breaks out of support, breaks out of resistance. That's resistance. It's breaking out of resistance. Okay, that's resistance right here. That's support. That's resistance. Break out of resistance. Break out of resistance. This is the break out of resistance right there. That's break out of resistance right there. Okay, that's a break out of resistance trade right here. Now this is a bounce. This is a bounce off of support right there. It created a newly one, but this is called a break out of resistance trade right here. So as soon as it breaks out, I can take this trade and take profit on it. And then the loss would be somewhere here, wouldn't it? Right? If I take the trade here, the stop loss would be right here, and I would have to accept that. Because if it doesn't, if it goes through here, then it actually is going this way. That happens quite a bit. Right? It happens a little bit. It attempts to break through, but it comes back and then goes the other way. That's what happens. And so if I put a stop loss sufficiently here, this will be called BOOR trade. Break out of resistance trade. Okay, this is called a BrOOR trade. This is a very common trade that I make. Okay, so that's number 2. All right. Okay, now what I would do is now see if this trade makes sense right here. So this is going to be essentially it's flipped around essentially. It is essentially break out of support. Break out of support. So I'll call it, this one we'll call it Bruce. We'll call it Bruce because we can't call it the same thing here, right? So this is going to be break out of support. Break out of support. As soon as it does that, and I short right here, and I expect to make some gains here. Okay. So this is going to be so everything is keyed off of support and resistance, and that's the only time that I'm gonna make the trade, because that's going to help me increase my efficacy. Instead of like 16 to 43, now I'm making it so that I'm specifically targeting the specific regions which I would take, which means that I would just wait until something happens instead of trying to like make things happen, right? So as soon as it got in here, I should not have made any trades here. So as soon as it got here, it established this top level, came down here, it created this level, all right? So then I have to watch and see what happens. I have to see what happens throughout. And then once I see and identify this region here, then I can make a follow-up trade. So we'll call this a BrOOR trade. Okay. So essentially, everything is going to evolve around support and resistance. That's the only trade that I will make. Okay, that's the only trade that I will ever make now from now on, from this point forward, as I become more familiar with what's going on. All right. So I have to see it, watch it, and see what happens here. See what happens here. Right. So when it gets in here, I've already established. Yeah, that's one. Okay. So now. Now this is really going down. You can see that. You can see this thing just drop like a rock. I mean, it's dropping like a rock here. Okay. So what other trades that I would make here? I would short this. I suppose this will be a continuation type of trade. So essentially looking at it from a couple different regions here. So I would say that that would be support. Support. When it's trading, it's hard. When it's trending, it's hard to define the region. So look at here, comes down here, the bottom here. I could maybe take a risk on it, but I would wait until it gets up to this point to take profit, which was a good trade right there. See, when I take that trade, making sure, because if I look at this, it could drop and then come back, just like that's happening here. So this essentially is. So the other is now the other type of trade that I could possibly take, okay, are this type of trade, right? Now obviously if I look at this, if I look at this trade, this is where I could have taken it. It's called break out of support trade right there. That would be the break out of support trade. I could have taken that trade. I could have taken that trade right here. Okay, anywhere else that I could have taken? Here. Right there, right? So that would be one trade that I could have taken. So I'm looking for these scenarios where these things occur. So what I'm looking for is these long trends, and I'm asking myself, how am I going to take advantage of that, right? So when I look at this, so I need to take advantage of this part right there, right? Right here, right there. So how do I take advantage of it before something like this occurs? So if I look up and then went up and then candle here like that, started to go down. So how do I explain this? How do I take this trade? So that's a newly established resistance, but it comes here, becomes resistance here, that pops back, and it's showing aggression here with big candles. I could have taken that. It's engulfing here, so I could have taken that somewhere around here. So So what I want to describe on this case is called a it's going to be it is essentially a wide trend uh, wide trend. Uh, so how would I bounce wide trend bounce uh, resistance, right? So there's two types. One of them is going to be bouncing off this resistance. One of them is going to be bouncing off the support. Okay, bounce off the support. So it's initially it's going to be a trend. It's going to be trend. Uh, so it's going to be a, a band. Okay, so it's essentially going to be a wide trend, a bounce off of support. Okay, so that's the type of trade that I can take. Okay, so when I draw these things here, I can anticipate that it is actually going down, and then I can look at these scenarios where it coincides with a support and resistance, and that makes it more impactful. And so if I were to take this guy, I wonder if I can copy this. Well, I suppose I can't copy it. So, so what I need to do is only take those trades. And then after I only take those trades, then, so now that applies to here when it's trending. When it's trending like that, it's possible. Okay, that's what I'll do. All right. Here, I suppose what happened is there could be like support and resistance all over the place. So if I draw this, that seems to be support right there. So if I go to the left side, this will probably be meaningful somewhere, right? Yeah, I see how it's meaningful here. So these are meaningful here. Look at that. That's a little bit meaningful here. So as well as being meaningful here, right? So, okay, so this was essentially going sideways. Now this is trending, right? So trending, sideways, trending, right? Trending. And when it's trending like that, don't know how far it's going to go. So when it does this, comes here, it's trending all the way down, just like what this is doing. Just like what this is doing right there. Okay, so it's trending here, all the way here, sideways, and then moving up, just like that. Same thing with Bitcoin here. Trending, and then now it moved up, and now it's support. See how it's support? It's respecting that support area. Now what's important is, what I want to do is see if it applies to the indices. And indices do have, I mean, they're moving sideways, right? Based on support and resistance as well. Right here. And that seems to be support here. Bounce off that support. It's trending. Parabolic movement. So what is this? Essentially just continuation trade between two ranges. So if I look here, when I look at this, there's a wide gap here. There's even a bigger gap if this thing decides to fall. It could be all the way down here. If this thing stops dropping, it could drop all the way to here. Okay, that's what I'd be looking for. All right, that's the type of trades that I would take. And hopefully I will not be willy-nilly taking bad trades from this point forward. So now let's, so essentially I covered this area right there, right? So based on here, so there's two types really. I mean, there's like trending, there's like range bound. So some of these are range bound, some of these are trending, right? That's trending. But they can be lumped together. Oh, okay. So while I'm not making these trades possible, all right, I need to make it work. So, all right. Okay, what time is it? 11:43. Looks like I'm gonna get a lot of rest in between. Won't be paid until a few more days. I won't be paid for a few more days. Anyway, that's how it is. Okay, so that's where I'm here, like that. So essentially, I've determined that I'm going to be a support and resistance trader, which can easily translate into swing trading later on, essentially. So if I look at this situation too, I could theoretically wait for something to occur here. I can wait for something to occur here. See, if I waited here, and I'm essentially looking back here. See where it is? Look at the right there. So the possibility of this thing going back is high right here. So I could place some sort of a swing trade here, expecting a wide gain reaching back when things start to improve. Okay, eventually it's gonna happen. All right, so that's where we are. And if I look here, there it is. And looking at it, Bitcoin was down to 75 right there. That one just keeps going up. It's trending up. So if I'm here, I'm thinking it can't go any higher. Dips and then goes up higher. There's no such thing as it can't go any higher. Same with gold here. Look at that. Almost 3,300. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm looking at this kind of situation too, bouncing off near the support area, which already has been established, and moving back up. That'd be a good trade. So now here I'll be looking for a short right there. I'd be looking for a short right there. Right? I will look for a short right there. I will look for a short right there. That would be a short area right there. See? So I would immediately have made a few bucks right here if it holds, and then expecting that that might be support right there. See, I would have made money already. Significant amount. All right. That's the type of trade that I'll be making. Okay. That's the type of trading. So this right here, yeah. I'm not sure where my head was, but now it should be back to normal, and I should be able to get back into business. And I'm going to, what I need to do is when I take the trade, then I need to document it because it is significant, as each of them will be a significant factor. So from now on, what I'm going to do is target roughly about, so what I want to do is make about maybe 5 trades to get to 1%. Okay, so each of them will be approximately about $20 to $25 with a 10K account. With the 10K account, so that's the way that I'm going to do this. So if I were to look at this, of course it went down, but this is support area, but it's still, there's some momentum to the downside, so you got to be careful with this. It could be, this could be exactly like this. See, it bounced up and then drop. See, bounced up and then drop. It's a common occurrence. So now I'm identifying the type of trades that I would take verbally without actually making a trade. Okay, expecting to make 20 to 25 per trade. And if I get more, that'd be great. All right. Let's see. So I've identified, I essentially identified, I've identified how many? So I've identified about 3 trades, really, that's all. So I've identified, it's a bounce off of support, break out of resistance, break out of support. Okay. So if I look at here, right there, so that's what's happening here. So this would be considered a trend. I'll make that trade. See exactly what I'm talking about right there. When it's trending down, it's going to behave like that. Gotta be careful with it. So, when it's trending up, don't short. Go for longs. If you're short, get out fast if you're wrong. Because it'll keep going up. All right. That's it for today. It looks like I'm gonna take a vacation. Okay. All right, we'll call that good. So we'll just identify 3 trades. 3 trades that I take.